Welcome to the Binge List. I am your host, Paul Chappell, and we are recapping the final episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was called One World, One People, and I'm getting this review kind of late. I had a horrendous 2 days. I'm having work done on my kitchen, having some floor tiles installed. Now, usually when I have some contract work done on my house, I had this company take up to 6 months to replace some windows in my house. I think the quickest I've ever had some work done on my house is like 2 weeks. So I would meet with this lady from this company doing the floor tiles, and they tell me 2 days. And I'm like, 2 days, yes! But I forgot 2 things. One thing was this show was coming out, and I was going to have to do a review for it. The other thing was that I was going to have to do a lot of work on that kitchen because I wanted to paint it before it was done. Oh, no, actually, it was 3 things I forgot. The other thing was that I was having my vaccine, my second dose of the coronavirus vaccine done on Friday. So, first thing that happened was I had to stay up all night to get everything moved out the kitchen and to paint it. And I thought it was going to be easier because I could afford to let the paint fall on the floor because it was getting replaced anyway. Didn't have to put anything down. But I didn't know how I was going to do the vaccine. I was scheduled for 4, and I was like, oh, these guys, they showed up around 9. And then we find out that the tiles that they were provided were damaged. So we ended up canceling that anyway. Long story short is I got the vaccine Friday on no sleep. Woke up today, and they told me the second dose hits you a little bit harder. The biggest side effects I had from the first dose was fatigue. This time I had body aches. I woke up. You ever work out in a gym and then stop working out and then come back a few months later and you have a big workout? You know how your body aches after that first workout? That's what I'm feeling right now. Plus you got to add it in the fatigue from the second dose of this vaccine because my immune system is going on overdrive. But okay. So that's why I'm coming to this review late. It didn't help that this review had a lot of shaky cam in, and I will get to that later, but I already kind of had a headache. It made my headache worse. So before we get to that, let me just talk about a couple good things. Actually, I got about 3 things that I thought were good. First of all I thought Sam's suit looked pretty cool. I thought his fights in the air was okay because they did not use a lot of shaky cam. When he was in the air, still kind of hard to know what was going on because it was at night. Everything was at night. I like the fact, and spoilers if you haven't seen this episode already, but I'm assuming anybody watching it now has. Sharon Carter was revealed as the power broker. Well, it wasn't a big surprise to me. I hinted at it in my last review. I actually had a segment I cut out in my last review talking about Sharon Carter being a power broker. I was like, you know what? I've been so wrong about so many things. I'm just going to leave that part out. But I did say that Batroc was the henchman of the big bad. And I already knew Sharon Carter was paying him. So I kind of connected the dots, if you didn't notice. So, yeah, I like the fact that she was power broker. But it raised a few issues. The major issue is, why did she allow Sam and Bucky to track down her Superman or superhuman serum supplier? And, I know she wouldn't expect Zemo to kill the guy, but that was kind of suspect. Maybe she was just using this as a way to get her pardon, which is what Sam essentially offered her to get this guy's location.
Start lining up our buyers. Super soldiers might be off the menu, but we're about to have full access to government secrets, prototype weapons, you name it. Should be something for everyone.
So I don't know. That was kind of weird, but I like the fact that Sam and Bucky don't discover that she is the power broker. So we see that as being kind of a setup for another Captain America movie. And then I think it's already been announced it's going to be a Captain America 4 with Sam as Captain America. So I was excited about that. I know a lot of people are upset about Sam being Captain America. He was Captain America in the comics. I know a lot of people wanted Bucky to be Captain America, but I don't know. I don't know how. We'll get to the way I feel about that a little when I start talking about things I didn't like. The third thing I would say that was pretty good was John Walker's rehabilitation, because he's not really a bad guy in the comics. He's more of like a jerk. And I guess he's working for whatever Julia Louis-Dreyfus is, whatever her character is doing. I'm not sure she's working for a new form of S.H.I.E.L.D. It just seems like she's working for the government in some capacity. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. So he's working for her in some kind of capacity with the government. We don't know what that is yet. Like I said, it seems like that's going to be covered in the next Captain America movie. So we got a lot of good setup for the next Captain America movie. And John Walker, I like the whole thing with his shield, him constructing the shield. And the first time he throws it, you see that it's not made of vibranium, obviously, and it doesn't bounce. It just falls to the ground. I like everything about that. I thought it was done very well. The fact that the super soldiers pretty much break his shield, or the flag smashers they smash his shield was kind of interesting. So let's go to the bad. It was the shaky cam. The shaky cam was horrendous. Sometimes I've seen shaky cam done pretty well in some instances. I can't think of a good example. There has to be some design to shaky cam, though. As strange as that sounds, you can't just do it. And I felt like they would just do it to add a lot of energy to the action, which is usually why it's done. But like I said, it made it hard to follow along, especially since the scenes were all shot during the night. I just didn't like it. I've seen other people online complain about it. I just wish they wouldn't have done that, especially since they haven't established that as a technique in the early episodes. I don't remember any of those other episodes having shaky cam. I might have to go back and watch, but I think I would have complained about it if they had used it. Maybe it was because most of those other scenes were shot during the day. I don't know, but I really did. It really destroyed my enjoyment of a lot of action scenes. The second thing I would say that I really kind of didn't like was Sam's speech. It just went on way too long. And I started thinking during his speech, I was like, he kept saying, I think he said at one point that America's not ready for a black Captain America. And that's true. If you read the message boards on Facebook of a lot of these Marvel groups, there's a lot of people that do not like Sam as Captain America. I don't know whether they just have a problem with Anthony Mackie or something. Maybe he's not, I don't know, he doesn't have that stature that you need for Captain America. I don't know. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's racism. The point is, I started thinking about whether his speech had merit, because I realized, it's like, wait a minute. We don't have a Captain America in real life, but we have an equivalent, a close equivalent would have to be the president of the United States, right? And we've had a black president. But then I started thinking, have we had a black president in the MCU? And the answer is no. Because I remember watching Iron Man 3, and they featured the president in Iron Man 3, but they chose a white guy. They got William Sandler, the guy in Shawshank Redemptions and a few other movies. But they got a white guy to play president in Obama's second term. So I just realized we haven't had a black president in the MCU. So maybe that does bear weight in this alternative universe. And I also have to remember the fact that Obama didn't get the majority of the white vote. I think he got something like 45%. Still, that's a high percentage of white votes. And I think that's why we kind of ended up with Trump, because a lot of white people were so freaked out by the black president that when they got somebody like Trump in the field, they just went all in on him. Not to get political here. The third thing I didn't like, and I've talked about this before, was the fact that I don't think the Flag Smashers, their whole plot was developed very well. And I didn't even understand what they were trying to do in this last episode. If their whole plan was to kill the members of the GRC to set a message, why not just do it in that building that they were in? Why allow one of their guys to put all these people in trucks? That made no sense to me. And I understand from a narrative standpoint they did it so there will be some action scenes along the way, because you could only have so many action scenes in that building. But I just feel like the bad guys were underdeveloped. I wish they had developed them a little bit more. And I just didn't feel at any point that I didn't. One of the things you do in screenwriting is you make. I mean, you can do this. Not everybody does it, but you can make the villain sympathetic. I felt like we were supposed to sympathize with the Flag Smashers, but I never felt like what they were doing was justified. It just seemed like it just was not developed very well. I didn't have the sympathy that I think they expected me to have. Okay, the other thing I would say that was kind of cringeworthy was when Zemo's butler blows up most of the Flag Smashers. And the blowing up of the Flag Smashers, I didn't have a problem with because all those characters were born anyway. But I was like, the butler looks like he's 80 years old. This 80-year-old butler snuck up on a police transport, planted a bomb, and walked away? Really? That made no sense. I mean, how incompetent is New York City police? I guarantee you some people in the police department were pissed off when they watched that. Or not, who knows. So, yeah, let's review the series as a whole. Was it worth it? I think the fact that we explore whether we would have a black Captain America, I thought it was an interesting discussion to have. It's not warranted in our current reality. I think Americans would, if a Captain America existed, Americans wouldn't have a problem with that. I think this series was really just a buffing up of properties by Disney. When they rolled out Disney Plus, they said, hey, they have to produce content now because they're competing with Netflix, HBO Max, Amazon Prime. They needed, a series. And, this guy who was the showrunner for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he just sold Disney on the plot of this series, and now he has a movie that he's going to oversee, and his name is Malcolm Spellman. So I don't have a problem with them putting out this series. I think mercifully it was 6 episodes. There's a tendency with a lot of these Marvel shows, and I'm talking about the ones they did with Netflix. There's a tendency for the storylines to drag a little bit around the 5th or 6th episode. Usually, like I remember this from Luke Cage. Oh, God, I drew a blank there. I remember in Luke Cage, they killed the villain halfway through the season. And I think they've done that a couple times. They did it in Daredevil season 3, I think. Or maybe that was the Defenders. But they've done that a few times. And I'm just glad that they went ahead and ended it where they ended it. Because like I've mentioned before, I thought WandaVision was dragging a little bit in the end. So I think they made the right choice there. And, it was a worthy conversation to have. But overall, like I said, in the context of our main reality, the one we live in, it wasn't warranted. But overall, I enjoyed the series. It had its moments. And we'll just have to wait and see how this movie goes. It was also a good thing to release while we're still in a pandemic because everybody's at home. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure that wasn't what Disney intended, but it just worked out well in that regard. So I have to commend them for seeing the future and responding to it. So yeah, we've had development of Wanda Maximoff, Sam Wilson, and now Bucky. So and we're about to get some development of Loki. So, yeah, I think this can only be good for the MCU. It's something that DC hasn't been able to do because their television properties are separate from their movie properties. I like the fact that Marvel was able to integrate all these things because we've heard tell that the actor who plays Daredevil is going to appear in the new Spider-Man movie. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it'll be consistent with what they've done so far. But yeah, that's all I got for today. I give this series a C+ overall. So go ahead and watch it if you haven't already started. Give me a comment down below. Do you agree with what I think? Give me a like or dislike, whatever. and ring that bell if you're already a subscriber so you know when my next video drops. And I will see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.